Well, hey folks, Real Honesty with John Rethlins, my review of New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax 28 Night 8 event. Pretty soon I'm going to have to start doing the double hands for all these numbers. But anyway, Kevin Kelly and Rocky Romero welcome us back with some great English commentary for a night of B-block action and, of course, the typical tag matches that will set the tone for the block matches the following day. So for A block. And so far, I gotta say, it's a pretty good tournament, though I will say for tonight's particular matches, there was one great match, two good matches, and two okay ones. The tag matches served their purpose, and let's just dive right into it. Once again, great hype package, typical hype package showing, some things about the various respective participants, and I really enjoyed that. Some great video package work by the New Japan crew. And then we go Ren Narita and Michael Elgin versus Minoru Suzuki and El Desperado, and this is just to hype up Suzuki and Elgin, though Narita did pretty well. I give him credit for that. And he tried to trade forearms and chops with Suzuki. Good job, Ren. I mean, hey, you know what? You're a tougher man than I am. It went outside quickly. Duh, of course, Suzuki using a chair on Elgin. I really hope Suzuki beats Michael Elgin tomorrow. As you know, I don't really care for Michael Elgin necessarily. But anyway, Narita did pretty damn well. And El Desperado pinned Ren Narita. Duh, of course that was going to happen. Anytime a young lion's in one of these matches, that's going to happen. And then Evil and Ibushi versus Hangman Page and Chase Owens. Certainly not a bad match. Hype for Evil versus Hangman Page, which I think is going to be a pretty good G1 match. I think, it's nice of the experience, even though Evil's still young compared to some of the people in there. Hangman Page is certainly more up and coming. Evil's a little more established. I certainly will be more than ready to see what's going to happen in that match. Decent exchanges, some good action. Of course, everything is Evil for the win, and of course Owens took the pinfall. It seems like Owens is always taking the pin, unless Gato's in the match. Owens is almost always taking the pinfall, and it wasn't bad. It was certainly decent. And then we go on to Jay White and Yo versus Bad Luck Fale and Tonga Loa. And this is just hype for White versus Fale, which White's doing more of the, the runaway and that kind of stuff, and trying to, hit and run on his opponents. And then him and Fale brawl into the crowd, and it almost seemed like they were trying to babyface White because he was getting beat up by some bigger heels. And then he gets back in the ring, but of course, nothing ends up happening. Yo ends up taking the pinfall because, of course, that was going to happen ape shit by Tonga Loa, because apparently that's the name of the move, as Rocky Romero said. And it certainly wasn't bad. It certainly wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it was a nice little way to hype for the match that's going to be coming up between White and Fale, which I think Jay White's going to win, because Fale is just pretty much there just to create anarchy. And then Tanahashi and David Finlay versus Makabe and Hanare. And I gotta say, Hanare and Makabe could really be a fun tag team if they decided to go for the tag titles at any point. I think that would actually be pretty good. It'd be a good experience for Hanare, and it would give a nice little spot to Makabe if they have nothing much for him to do after the G1. But Tanahashi versus Makabe is going to be a very, very interesting match, and I'm certainly going to be excited for it. The crowd was red hot. They were red hot for Tanahashi and Makabe, and that's not to say that Finlay and Hanare did not get cheers, but the crowd was red hot. And Finlay ended up pinning Hanare. I guess this is to hype the whole, C block action that's going to happen on, I believe, August 11th, which will, it's the whole running joke between Finlay, about Finlay saying, oh, it's the unofficial C block and it's a winner-take-all thing. That would be kind of fun. But maybe Hanare wins it. That could be a big win for Hanare, even though him and Finlay are still up and coming and everything. Finlay's a little more established. Would be interesting to see that. But, of course, you have, like I said, you had, Finlay pin Hanare, so Tanahashi and Finlay get the victory. Tanahashi and Makabe is going to be interesting. And then Okada and Gato versus Yoshihashi and Shoshihashi, as we call them, or I call them, because I'm stupid like that. And it was hype for Okada versus Yoshihashi, which I think Yoshihashi is going to get the victory. I think he's going to. Okada will get some more victories and probably get up to about 10, maybe even 10 points or something like that. I think Yoshihashi is going to win. I think he's going to win. I mean, if he doesn't, whatever. It is what it is. I'm just having fun here, but it'd be interesting if he won. Good exchanges. Shock arrow by Sho on Gato, and Duh, Gato took the fall, of course. So the tag matches went on a little bit longer than I expected. I mean, I think it was about 3-4, so it was about 70 minutes before we got to the B block matches, and there have been times where it's been like an hour or even less, and we suddenly got into the block action, so a little bit longer. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, we're going to go a little bit long here. Show only ended up being about 2 hours and 50 minutes because of the first two B block matches. Essentially, you had Goto and Yano. It was okay. Yano is what he is. Goto's a great talent that can work a long match. That match he had with Ishii was proof of that. I'm going to get to Ishii here in a second. But Yano nearly had him beat. It was before the bell, and he took off the turnbuckle pad and hit Goto in the head with it, which, ouch. I mean, I hope it sounded worse than it felt, because, ouch, it sounded pretty bad. Yano nearly got the victory, but then very soon after, I don't even think 4 minutes in, GTR by Goto, 1, 2, 3. It was okay. Am I going to say the worst match? No. There's been no particular terrible matches. There have been matches that have underdelivered, but this was a match that was what it was. If Yano doesn't win in the first couple minutes, then he's not going to get the victory. That's the story they're telling. Goto gets a victory, and especially after that war he had with Ishii, it's a good thing they kept it short because it's a long tournament. And then Naito versus Tama Tonga. This one was a little bit better than Goto versus Yano, but it was still just okay, because I get the story they're telling with the Tongans. I get it, and it's fine, and it is good storytelling. They want to create anarchy. They want to do all that stuff, but the thing is how do you create more anarchy? Tama Tonga, if he actually focused, could get the victory. Now, he uses, he used Tonga Loa and Fale, of course, to try and, gain the victory here. Tonga Loa interfered, duh, of course. And there was some good stuff. There was like a cool gun stun spot where Naito's neck jacked off the ropes. Naito earlier doing the Tranquilo pose, and I'm not even going to attempt to do that. I'm amazed I just said Tranquilo correctly, or sort of. But there were some good exchanges and everything, and Naito doing the typical, over the ropes into the drop kick. Very good stuff. But then, of course, you had Tonga Loa interfere, and then Evil came down, and then Fale came down. And then Ibushi came down and misted Fale, and everybody's out. I mean, of course, this happened after a ref bump happened, because shock of shocks, a ref bump happened in a Tongan match. But then the ref was out, and of course you had Naito, get Destino for the win, 1, 2, 3, and there we go. I mean, I don't know. He got 6 points. It was okay. I'm starting to get a little tired of the interference, but I get what they're doing. I get the point of it. But it was what it was. Naito could have won with just a simple roll-up, and I think it would have worked just fine. Apologies for the camera acting up, by the way. Lighting and all that shit. But anyway, Naito got the victory. Cool stuff. And then Ishii, and I apologize if these reviews get a little shorter and shorter. As the tournament goes on, there's only going to be the block matches to focus on. But anyway, Tomohiro Ishii versus Zack Sabre Jr. This was power versus technique. This was very good. Very good. I don't know if this was on my favorite matches of the G1 so far. It might end up being number 10, and mainly for the finish. I mean, you had great submission reversals, so many chops, so many forearms by Ishii. And Sabre Jr. certainly no slouch, but couldn't outpower Ishii. Very few can, to be fair. But the fact that after so many good exchanges and everything, and it seemed like Ishii might have gotten the victory, Sabre Jr. got, big old armbar on him and everything, and oh my God, Ishii tapped out. That shows the skill of Sabre Jr. That was some great stuff. I really enjoyed that. That was very, very good, very nice stuff, very well done. 4 points for both, I believe, if I'm getting the score correctly. Ishii, after that match that he had with Goto, I think he's going to probably end up with about 8 to 10. But he's having some great performances here. So Sabre Jr. Sabre Jr. will not win the thing, but he doesn't need to, because he won the New Japan Cup, had that great match at Sakura Genesis with Okada. Sabre Jr.'s star is on the rise. I mean, it's been on the rise for a couple years, but especially this year, New Japan is putting the rocket on him, sort of. I say sort of because they're giving him some good runs and everything. And having a match against Okada, you got to earn that shit. Granted, Okada's no longer champion, but still, you got to earn that shit. And it was good stuff, though. Sabre Jr. tapping out Ishii was certainly a really big moment and a pretty big deal. I don't know of too many times where Ishii has tapped out. If he's tapped out before this, he may have passed out, but anyway. Now we go to Juice versus Omega. This is a rematch of where Juice had actually beaten Omega last year. And one of the biggest shock of shocks. And this was good stuff. This was good. It was a little bit less than Ishii versus Sabre Jr., but it was a different type of match, of course. I mean, you're going to get that with Omega. And Juice, of course, can't use the cast. Otherwise, he's going to get disqualified. And it was good stuff, good pace. Juice nearly had it. I actually thought Juice was going to get the victory because he doesn't have any points so far. And he was 0 for 3. Well, he ends up being 0 for 4 because he got One Wing Angel by Omega for the victory. 1, 2, 3. And Omega so far it has 8 points. Juice has none. There are people who are like, oh, the whole Ibushi Omega thing could be, could be a great match and it will be a great match, by the way. But it could be where you're deciding between these two guys in the B block and everything, and I don't think so. But I think Ibushi may stop Omega from getting to the finals. He may. I don't know how. But who knows? Who knows? It could be pretty cool, and maybe Ibushi puts the one blemish on Omega's record, and then Omega chooses to face Ibushi. I mean, maybe. I mean, at Wrestle Kingdom, why not? I mean, I know Ibushi doesn't have a contract with New Japan, or anybody apparently, because he likes to do his own thing. But it could be very interesting to see that happen. So then we go to the main event, and this main event was good. Ooh, this was good. Sanada versus Kota Ibushi. My God, this was great. This is definitely on my favorite matches of the year list. This is on my favorite G1 matches of this year. I mean, if I try to do a favorite G1 matches of all time list, I think we'd be here all day. It'd probably have to be a top 50 with how many great matches there are, and it would take me forever to research it. Anyway, this was really, really good stuff, as you would expect between these two tremendous wrestlers, two tremendously agile wrestlers, really good in the ring, really skilled on the mat. I would almost give the edge to Sanada being more skilled on the mat. No slight against Ibushi. These two had some great, exchanges showing off their agility, some great power moves as well. Sanada focused on Ibushi's knee and also his neck. Long darted him at one point right into the turnbuckle pads. Both guys are just too good. I really can't describe this match any better. It is just so tremendous that you have to go watch it. Like, really, I mean, if you follow any bit of New Japan, you get Sanada and Ibushi in the ring and you turn them loose, for about 20 plus minutes. I think it ended up being about 22 minutes or close to it. That's a recipe for a great match. And it really, really was. This was really tremendously enjoyable. Moon's, it's like you had a couple attempts at skull end by Sanada, and he finally got skull end on. Ibushi got out of it, sort of. Well, I mean, got out of it in the sense he wouldn't give up. So Sanada said, "Okay, F it, hit the moonsault, the mood assault, 1, 2, 3, and now we have 6 points for Sanada." And there's some good stuff here. There's some good storytelling here. Sanada versus Naito could be very interesting. In fact, I would find that to be probably the most interesting of the remaining B block matches that there are. And I know that there's some B block action left, and we're almost halfway. We're about halfway through the tournament, or close to it. I mean, I think by night 10 we'll be more than halfway through because 19 days. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this tournament. So anyway, and guys, I apologize if my reviews go a little bit quicker from here on out. There's going to be at the same time more good stuff to discuss, but also less to discuss, because as the tag matches go on, they're going to just simply be what they are, just to hype up to the future block matches. The block matches are where it's at, though. If you don't watch any of the tag matches, you might miss a little bit of storytelling, but if you focus on the block matches, the last 3 in particular were pretty good. The first 2, less so, but that's just my personal opinion. I'm going to say B for the last 3 matches, and for a couple of the tags. And I get the whole storytelling thing that they did with it. I didn't really hate any of the matches, so that's why I'm going to go B. I almost went B- until Ishii versus Sabre Jr. changed my mind. So anyway, disagree with what I said. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Twitter link in the description. It's been real awesome with John Ritlin, and I will be back for Night 9, and I'll see you soon.